All right, guys. Good morning. I'm going to kind of walk you through the whole process of making a scene because this is kind of a big project. So let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is I have created an assignment. It's going to be listed as Lesson 6, Create a Scene Using Sprites. And it tells you here what your scene needs to have in order to get an A. It says, please make sure your scene has 2 sprites, some text, background color, rectangle shapes, or circle shapes. So an example of it is this. You see 2 different alien sprites. You can make more. You can make as many sprites as you want. This is just a sample. One alien says, what kind of music do planets sing? The other alien responds, Neptunes. So you've got background color here, and you've got these shapes. You know, the ellipse makes the other planets. So let's go ahead and work on our scene. Now I did do some prep work in order to make this, and I've already made a lot of it. So here is my scene that I created. We've got 2 different sprites here. We've got the teacher sprite saying, hey, you all listening? And then we've got the student sprites on their cell phone saying, no, Mr. Lantos, we're on Snapchat. And then I have like a little circular sun, and I have some grass, and there's a background color. The background color is white. So let me go ahead and show you how I did this. First thing I did was I prepped real quick. I prepped by going and downloading pictures and saving them to a folder. So I created a folder called Create a Scene, and I found all my pictures online and downloaded them. Notice how they all end with JPEG. If your pictures end in JFIF, it probably won't work. So you need JPEG pictures. If your pictures aren't downloading there, when you look, you're like, where's that folder, Mr. Lantos? You have to click these little arrows next to this PC, and you have a picture folder. You can put all your pictures in there. You could also check your download folder. Anything you download from the internet will first go into this download folder. So once you have your pictures set up, then you've done the prepare work or the planning work, you're ready to get started. So let me go to an earlier version. All right, here you go. Here's the beginning. I got nothing here. So this actually works you through. It says if you start at 14, it shows you an example. Oh, that's sorry, 15. It shows you an example. And then if you work through step by step, it tells you what to do each time. So create your scene. Do this. Use a background command to fill the screen with a color. Add any necessary shape commands to draw the non-sprite elements of your scene. So we're adding a background color. A lot of this is going to be in the drawing. So let's say background instead of white. Let's say let's make it light blue. If your color doesn't appear here, you got to mess around with the RGB values till you get your thing. So R, this would make it red because the R value is the strongest. If I want to make it light blue, I want 0 red. And let's see, I think I want 255 for blue. But if I change that to 240? You can also Google the RGB value of light blue. RGB value light blue, and that will help you determine how to make that light blue. Light blue or sky blue maybe I want. Let's see. Zero, 191, 255. Let's try that. Zero, 191, 255. There you go, that's fine. I like that. So there's my light blue background, and this is add shapes. Well, my example had a rectangle as the ground, so I can add in a rectangle. And you know, if you figure you want to make the ground a green color, of course you have to first add the color. So I can make that green. It's a rectangle. Okay, but I don't want my rectangle here. I want it to be this distance right here, this length. So the first thing I need to do is pull up my grid. I want to put the X and Y position of my rectangle there. So if you look, that makes the X and Y. Why can I not see that? There you go, now I can see it. So you see the X and Y down here, it's X0, Y 300. So I'm going to go 0, 300, and then I want it to go the entire length of the X, which means that the width would be 400, and then I'll leave the height at 200 and see what happens. There you go, there's my grass. Got sky, grass, background color, one shape. I want to put a little sun up. Let's put the sun up in this corner up here. So this is where the sun would go, X19, Y21. The sun's going to be an ellipse, but it should be yellow, so I got to move over fill color before the ellipse for yellow. Let's see what happens now. Obviously that's way too big. I want a smaller sun. Let's try the size of 25, 25. And now let's see. It's a better size, but I want it up here in the corner. That's X29, Y32. X becomes 29, Y is 32. If you don't know where I get these numbers, I move my cursor arrow up to a spot, and then I look down here under Show Grid. That's X24, Y24. That's fine. There's a sun. So now we have two shapes, a circle shape, a rectangular shape, and a background color. Now I've done everything it asked me to do on this level. So I'm going to click Finish, move on to the next level. Now it's asking me to put my sprites in. So this is where I'm going to put that teacher in, anything that I've put in animation, which I don't actually have any animations now because I deleted what I'd done before. So I got to go find the things that I uploaded. So here's the male teacher cartoon, and here are the students. Of course, I uploaded my own. You can also draw your own at this point by clicking Draw Your Own, or you could upload something by clicking on any of these in the library. There are a lot of options in the animation library. You can look through all of them. I have my two animations. I like to change this so it's easier words. So I double click on the word. I change this to teacher, and I can click this and I change this to distracted students because they're on their cell phone. So let's go back in here. Now if I run it, I still have my background, the ground, the sky. I'm going to put the teacher up here. So I have to go to sprites. The 3 lines of code that I have to put in to create a sprite would be variable sprite, sprite set animation, and then I want to draw it. So instead of calling it sprite, I'm going to call this teacher. No. Alright, let's continue. So what I did while you weren't paying attention was I changed the variable to teacher, and then I changed this from sprite to teacher.setAnimation, and then I chose teacher. Then when I reset and run it, look, the picture is so big that now this teacher JPEG or image takes up the whole space. So now you have to go to animation. I prefer to resize it this way. Make sure that both of these are checked. And I just change this to a much smaller number, like 300. Click resize, the purple button. Now go back and run it. It's still pretty big. I want it to be small enough that it kind of fits in this corner. The other thing is some of you are like, well, how do I get rid of all this white that's in the image that I downloaded? So let me show you two things. First, I'm going to resize it to make it even smaller. I'm going to go for 100 and resize. And then I'm going to choose the eraser tool and make sure it's on the largest setting. And I'm literally going to erase this under here. See that? So I'm erasing everything here. Now this is doing two things, okay? And you'll see them when I go back to the code and I show you how it appears. There was a black bar down there at the bottom, if you remember. So if I run it now, see it's much smaller and that black bar has been erased. So let me go back and continue to erase. So I'm going to erase around. Oh, that is not the erase. You have to use the eraser tool. I'm going to continue to erase around like this. This takes a little bit of time. You should do this at home. Professionals who do this, it takes a lot more than just a one class period to complete these kinds of animations, especially if you're going to start editing your picture this way and drawing your own picture. So do that work at home. This is like basically like, making computer animation. So it's a lot of fun. take time to do it at home, you'll really get more out of this class. Alright, so I erased there. Now let me erase up here at the top. I'm going to pause it while I finish erasing. So I'm pretty much done erasing. Make sure you have the erase tool, and the largest setting is here. And now I've erased everything I want to erase. Now if you go back to code and run it, you can see that all I have left is a little teacher. If you want to make him slightly larger, the other thing you can do is add this sprite scale code. Then of course the variable is called teacher, so I'll change it to teacher.scale. And if I want to double his size, I put a 2 in there. Now he's that size. Now I want to move him up here, so you can go back to the grid. He's centered right now. He's right there around 200, 200. So if I want to move him up to like there, let's say, that would be 314x value, 118y. So let's try that. 313, 118, reset and run. There you go. Now my teacher's up there. Now I want to put the kids down here on their phones. So I go back to animation. Here's my students animation. This is probably way too big. Let me half this, 225, resize it, go into code. In order to add kids, I have to add another variable. I'm going to call it kids. Then I'm going to add set animation. I'm going to rename sprite to kids.setAnimation. If these are different in any way, the computer won't recognize. Now I'll choose the one that says distracted students. There they are. There are my distracted students. Let's say I want to move these students down here more. Right now it's centered around 200, 200. So if I want to center it more like there, that would be x108, y250. Let's change that. And let's reset and run. There you go. They moved down to the corner. Now I'm going to put the text in. So I want the teacher to say, y'all listening, or are you listening? And the students will say, no, we're on Snapchat. So to put text in, we have to go back into the drawing. Actually, let me just check to see what the instructions say first, because I'm kind of just doing my own thing here. So once you end at call sprites once at the end of your program. So there it is, draw sprites is once at the end of my program. Alright, so now I've done that part. Let's move on. This is the last thing you have to do to make your create a scene. And this says, I did not move on. I don't know. I think it's going to say add text. The last thing you have to do is add your text. Alright, so it says add text command for each separate line. If necessary, use fill and text size to change the appearance of your text. So in drawing, you're going to use this to put the text in. But if you want to change the text color, say, there, put are you listening? Now why is the text color yellow? Because the computer goes back and the last fill color is yellow. So if I didn't want my text to be yellow, you would have to put another fill color in there. Let's say I wanted the text to be black. Now the text is black. Let's say I don't want the text there, I want it closer to his mouth. So that would be about here. So if you see, it's an x value of 133 and y 50. 133, y is 50. There you go, are you listening? Let's say you want this to be bigger. You have to put in the text size. Make it a bigger number. That didn't change. Oh, text size has to go before the text. There you go, are you listening? I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just going to move it over a little bit so it's not right over the, there you go, that's fine. So the teacher says, are you listening? And now the students are going to respond, no, we're on Snapchat. No. Because this virtual world that's been created is always so much more interesting than the real world. Sadly, for teenagers, it's true. Now I'm going to change the color. I'm going to make the text yellow. And then I'm going to move this down to the bottom here. So if I show the grid, and I move this here, let's say I want my text to start there. Notice that underneath show grid, it shows you 123, 362. Those are the values I'll put in the X and Y. 123, I think it was 362. And there you go. So there it is. There's a scene. It's got two sprites, check. It's got a background color. It's got two shapes, the rectangle and the ellipse. It's got Are You Listening? And No, We're on Snapchat, right? The rectangle is the grass and the ellipse is that. So once you have that done, you'll take a screenshot of that. Make sure you include your code like that and your image, and you're going to turn that in for lesson 6 sprites. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have fun. This is a really cool unit. Good luck.